back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I wanted to take a little bit of time to just chat about yoga and what it means to me and how pivotal it has been for my healing journey. I was graciously gifted yoga. An old manager of mine, Sarah, had invited me to a yoga class. I had worked in the mall that we were working at for a couple of years, but a new yoga spot had opened, and truly, I didn't feel worthy of going to yoga. I didn't feel like I was a yogi. I didn't eat healthily enough. I didn't really move my body. I wasn't zen. I didn't feel like I could go to yoga. It was really life-altering when I went to my first yoga class. I remember going to my home studio and picking a gentle class out of the array that they had because I knew I needed to take it slow. I went to the class and I ended up renting a yoga mat from the studio that I went to for the class. They might have offered a free one for your first class, honestly. And I remember every single pose, I felt so uncomfortable in my body. I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly, and it kind of hurt, and I just didn't know where my body was in space. Proprioception was something that I did not have. And so I fumbled through the first yoga class that I took, and of course we end in Savasana, and I, for the very first time when I laid back and closed my eyes, it was the first time I had ever felt at home in my body. That I wasn't trying to escape my body. I understood that all the tingling and sensations that I was feeling were because I just moved my body. I also was only worried about those sensations in my body. And it really just opened my world up. I wanted to feel in my body as much as I could. I had never felt safe or comfortable inside of my body, and how could this granola bougie woo-woo workout make me feel so comfortable in my body? It was really interesting. And so that was back in like 2017. I got that class gifted to me, and I was nowhere near consistent, but I was really open to yoga. And so I went to, I'm gonna show you guys too. So I went to Lululemon. Where else do you go when you're new on the yoga scene? And I bought some new leggings, of course, so I could feel confident when I went to classes, and a sports bra so that I could just be comfortable. And I bought Lululemon's just basic black mat. And this was the first mat I ever bought myself for my practice, and started going to classes. And I kind of fumbled my way through yoga classes with this mat for like the first year that I was doing yoga. And I really, really enjoyed my home studio because they offered a really wide variety of classes. And so I could take, the gentle classes. I could take a normal vinyasa flow. And what I really found to enjoy was the infrared heated classes that they offered at that studio. And it was similar-ish to Bikram-ish, but the hot class would do the same poses, the same sequence of poses every single class. And so it was a really nice place to come back to my practice and just see where I was excelling, or where I was moving forward, and maybe where spots were still tight for me. And then I said, I'm a yogi, and I booked a Wanderlust festival, and this had to have been in 2019. before COVID, before all the craziness. And I went to a Wanderlust festival up in Tahoe, and it was miraculous. I went for the full 3-day festival, and I did camping at the event just to really immerse myself. I was able to take, 3 classes a day, seminars, and it was the first time in my life I had been surrounded by people who wanted to better themselves, whether, it was physically, but spiritually and emotionally too. And it was emotional for me to go to this festival. I enjoyed learning about all the different classes. I think, I was just used to what my home studio had been offering. And so at this festival, I tried to take a different type of class every single class. And on my 3rd day in the morning, I took a Kundalini class, which I am now feeling like Kundalini is an energy that we need to be really aware of, and those classes need to be very, very protected, both for the teachers and the students. I think that Kundalini energy is powerful, and if you are teaching it and helping your students release things, you need to create a little bit of aftercare truly for them. My Kundalini class was all about awakening the root chakra, and to my naivety, I didn't understand what Kundalini was, and I was like, yeah, I have trauma. I need to awaken my root chakra. Not like that. I didn't. And it was a traumatic experience for me, that first Kundalini class. I got very emotional. I could not control my emotions for about 6 hours after that, hyperventilating, really regurgitating a lot of things from deep in my childhood. And I just was not prepared for that. I didn't have any tools at that time. I wasn't, good at my journaling. I wasn't dedicated to my yoga practice. I didn't have a lot of support systems built up around me. And so that felt like a really, really dangerous time for me spiritually and emotionally. I wasn't able to experience, the ending of the retreat that I was at, the 3-day festival that I was at, and I kind of had to pack it up and go home. And on the way out, they were doing a end of festival sale. And so this brand, which I don't believe is a real brand anymore, but these Rumi mats I fell in love with. I was able to test them, and I ended up buying a 3-pack. It's this one, the one I'm sitting on, and then I did gift one to a friend. But what I liked about these is that they offered an extra thick. So I think it's, 3 millimeters versus like a 5 millimeter on the Rumi mats. And then they also did recycled rubber. And so I felt in my hot classes, the grip was way better. And even still, it's got good grip on these Rumi mats. And I have been rocking these Rumi mats since that festival. I have one that's for my studio yoga, and then I have one that's for my home practice. I really love how much of a story, how much of your life, how much of everything ends up going to the mat. Even after that festival and Kundalini kind of breaking me wide open, my mat became such a safe place for me. Doing yoga, doing my asanas, or just meditating, just knowing that this piece connects me to the earth and can ground me back to myself has been so powerful in my life. Like a typical girly pop, I get distracted. I lose my practice and my consistency in my practice with the ebbs and flows of life. I had fallen really far away from my practice. I didn't practice for about 1.5 years. I was in a relationship that didn't support that. And I wasn't prioritizing it. I wasn't prioritizing myself and my practice over that relationship. And so when that relationship ended, I just dove into a yoga teacher training. I didn't go back to a consistent practice. I didn't try to come back to myself. I just jumped into a yoga teacher training at my home studio, the only studio I have ever done yoga at. I felt able and capable. And so I jumped into my yoga teacher training in 2023. I went into my yoga teacher training not thinking that I wanted to teach yoga, but feeling like I just needed to deepen my practice and really find tools that I could get through life with. And it was just a place that I really was seeking guidance. I finished my yoga teacher training. I won't speak bad about it. I got out of my yoga teacher training able to teach yoga and feeling so lost in my life and learning about, all 8 limbs of yoga, not just the asanas. There's 7 other limbs that we have to focus on, and finding that I had been walking a yogi lifestyle my whole life in a lot of regards. My yoga teacher training really allowed me to settle into myself and to my practice and make it something of my own. And it took me, a couple years after my yoga teacher training to actually get my certification. I felt like I was integrating so much of my teachings and really flowing through my yoga teacher training. In the middle of 2023 is when I graduated. At the beginning of 2024, my mother got very sick. And in 2025, I lost my mom. And through a lot of that, it just didn't feel safe to be in my body. And I really did have to work on a lot of the other 7 limbs of yoga, and my asanas just felt really unsafe. And so it took until this year, 2026, for me to really feel pulled and called back into my body in a way to release. And that's how I'm viewing yoga now. We do all this work behind the scenes. There's all this stuff. Maybe it's trauma, and maybe it's patterns, and maybe it's habits, and maybe, it's expectation. It's all these things. And we have to be able to sift and work through those things to show up on our mats, to move, to perform our asanas, to then release the things that no longer serve us, and to integrate the things that do. And so this year, 2026, I finally got my yoga accreditation. I'm certified as a teacher officially. And what that means is that I needed a new mat. I needed somewhere new to lay this new version of myself. I think when I can look at all of these different versions of me who lived on these mats, who released things on these mats, it's so powerful. I am so thankful for yoga and so happy that I was gifted that class so long ago. And so to celebrate everything we've been through, everything we've flowed through, and everything we've integrated, we retire these mats. We retire the energy. And we make space for new. I have no idea what this new version of me is going to be like. And I see nothing but excitement when I think about it. What was important to me in my new mats was that they were rubber, similar to the rumi, because I like the stick and the grip, especially if I do want to pop into a hot class. But just in general, I also wanted to do something colorful. I have been always black and neutral, and so I'm getting out of my comfort zone here, you guys. And what I can tell you is that I think it's a little shorter than my roomies. It's really grippy. I love the color. I got same thickness. I got a 5mm for my home practice. And then I got a 3mm regular mat for my class practice or for travel, just so it's lighter. I'm excited to have a new mats. I feel like when I look at these ones, you can see all these different versions of me and things I've had to heal from. And it's so important what these held me through. And when I think about everything that I've gone through on these mats and made it through, I'm just excitedly in anticipation for what these mats will see. So I appreciate you for listening to my story. I'm really excited that you're here and that you are attached to yoga for whatever reason. It is so important. For me, it's a space, it's a place that I can dedicate to coming back to myself, mind, body, soul, aligning here on a mat. Whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, whether I'm angry, this mat can support me through that. I can support me through that. You can support you through that. And so I really appreciate you. Please let me know. Please leave me a comment and let me know why yoga. What makes you come back to your mat over and over and over again? Showing up for yourself is so important, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I hope you enjoy your classes. I hope you stretch a little bit today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Namaste.